In the beginning, there was silence upon the deep. There was nothing. It was blackness. It was an eternal ocean. And then there was word and there was light. And in Greek mythology, there was the Titans. Okay, they were before the gods. They were the most powerful creatures in the world. And the Titans gave birth to the gods, primarily Zeus. And there was a mighty war that was raged across the cosmos, and the gods won. And Zeus, with his thunderbolts, managed to kill off all the Titans except for about a dozen. And one of them was Prometheus. And Prometheus was the most benevolent Titan to mankind. In fact, we would not be here today without Prometheus. In fact, the last Olympic Games that were just held recently, do you know what that Olympic flame is that they're celebrating? That is Prometheus's gift of fire to humanity. Those Olympic Games have been celebrating that gift for literally thousands of years. So they would carry that torch from the altar of Prometheus all the way by runner, until they got to Athens, and they would light the flame. They would conduct the games, and the entire games, all of those celebrations of power and skill and competition were done in celebration of Prometheus. He was that guy. So this is his story. Zeus was creating some cool animals in the beginning, and he gave them some gifts, right? He created some bears with superpower, large, dominant, ferocious, capable of incredible skills. So, Prometheus brought the bears over, and boy, Zeus gave him some juice. Man, the bear is just that's one of the alpha predators on planet Earth. He also brought the eagles, and they got wings. They would carry the bird above the storms. The eagles could fly so far above the storms that not only did they escape all of that drama, but they were able to see the entire world below. So in mythology, there's eagles all the way through that. And then he brought the wolves to go see Zeus for gifts. Yeah. And they got all of the goodness of the wolves. And there was nothing left. Zeus gave all of his gifts to all the animals. And the poor, shivering humans got absolutely nothing from Zeus. But Prometheus gave him something, and that was the ability to stand up and walk on 2 feet, to live as the image of the gods. So that was straight from Prometheus. Zeus was pissed as shit. And he said, "How dare you? I'm going to demand a sacrifice. I want all of the good shit that all those fuckers have down there on Earth. I want all their good shit. They're going to sacrifice it in honor of me." So again, Prometheus came to humanity and said, "Listen, we got to sacrifice an ox. I know it's a big deal for you guys because you don't really have shit. You're sitting out here huddled in the cold, but I know you got an ox. You got to sacrifice it, otherwise you're getting smoked by Zeus up there. So we got to give him a choice of the parts, right?" So he took all the meat, the good flesh of the ox in one pile, and then on the other pile was the bones and the skin and the antlers, the useless pieces. And Prometheus disguised the useless pieces to make them look like they were incredibly desirable. And Zeus came down and chose the shitty pile. And then he was still pissed. So from now on, in the entire Greco-Roman tradition, you burn the bones of the oxen. Instead, you got to keep the meat for yourself. Thanks, Prometheus. And the last and greatest gift is that Olympic flame. We weren't doing well. We were wretched, shivering creatures sitting in the dark and the cold. And Prometheus snuck up into Olympus to where there was a giant holy flame sitting up of the divinity, the fire of the gods. And he stole a piece of that and brought it down to humanity. And that was the thing that changed the tide of our entire history. Because everything is afraid of fire, except for us. Because that was our birthright from Prometheus. It pushed back the dark, it pushed back the cold, it allowed us to control our environment, and it actually gave us something that was much larger than that. The fire that Prometheus gave us allowed men to burn wood. And the heat and the light that is released from wood is coming from the tree that died to give us that wood. The tree who sacrificed its life energy got that energy from the sun. Over hundreds of years, the tree gathered the energy from the sun and took that energy through photosynthesis into a molecular structure that turned into wood. And when we burned it with Prometheus's gift, we're unlocking that molecular structure and releasing solar energy back out into the world. And we're doing that whenever and however we decide. That's divinity. Because not only is it solar energy that created the tree, the wood, the fire, that solar energy is from the very, very beginning. It is older than the gods. That was there before Zeus. And he was fucking pissed at this point. So Zeus came down and said, enough of this shenanigans, Prometheus. They are not divine, and neither are you. And he anchored Prometheus down on a rock to have a vulture come and eat his liver every day. And Prometheus could not die, so he would rejuvenate, and the next day it would happen over and over and over. So it was an epic gift, and it was an epic punishment. And the gift in mythology, because everything is a metaphor, and it represents the divinity of man. It represents the fact that we shape our reality with our words. When we say to somebody, I love you, it changes biochemical reality in them. Like we are casting spells out into the world with our words. When we say, I hate you, right, it changes the people around us. Again, divinity. We get to choose our actions. That choice is divine. We get to intentionally make the sacrifices that allow us to become the hero of the story. This is a miraculous occurrence. And so eventually the story has a good ending because the boss of humanity and Greek mythology, Hercules, eventually came and broke his chains and set him free. So humanity ended up saving Prometheus at the same time. So people have been sitting around this story, this fire, telling these stories as a means of unpacking and exploring what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to own your words? What does it mean to shape a life and create a life and maintain that life? Physically, professionally, spiritually. Those are all divine opportunities that are given to us. And these are the discussions that we have had around campfires for hundreds of thousands of years.